right, everybody. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Blazer Victory Podcast. John Duncan here, and of course, I'm joined as always with my co-hosts Jimmy Marion and Darian Smith. And UAB was able to get it done twice, beating Temple on the road in Philadelphia, and also the comeback win, a 14-point comeback win Sunday in Bartow to clinch the double bye in the AAC tournament. But before we get into that, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button so where you don't miss any future episodes of Blazer Victory Podcast. And hey, we're about to get into tournament mode here on the Blazer Victory Podcast again, where we're going to host AAC tournament specials each time that UAB has a game in the AAC tournament. But also, thank you so much for Cahaba Brewing Company for sponsoring all game recap episodes of the Blazer Victory Podcast. And guys, we are going to have a watch party this Friday at Cahaba Brewing Company at 2 p.m. for the quarterfinals game between UAB and either Memphis or Rice, Wichita State, probably Memphis. So if you guys don't already know, make plans to join us, Cahaba Brewing Company, this Friday, 2 o'clock. I know the time sucks, but it's ESPN2. It's a potential third matchup with Memphis. It's going to be fun, good times. Bring the kids, bring, the significant others, bring your pets if you want to. We're going to have a good old time at Cahaba Brewing Company again this Friday at 2 o'clock. But shout out again to Cahaba for being so good to us and letting us, co-host these watch parties at their fine tap room. So make plans on Friday, 2 o'clock. Be there, Cahaba Brewing Company, Blazer Victory watch party. And hey, if we win Friday, come Saturday. Come Sunday, but I didn't put that in the initial post because I don't want to jinx us. But definitely come out on Friday, 2 o'clock, and watch the game with us. But Jimmy, I think we got to start with this SMU game. Man, what a freaking roller coaster of a game. Like, 14 points, second half. I swear, when this team wants to, they can be the grittiest team in the country. And that, by God, that was a gritty comeback win to seal the number 4 seed in the AAC tournament. But what's just your initial reaction, Jimmy, from the game Sunday against SMU?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on it. There were parts of that game, specifically in the second half, in which I was already starting to look up. So if we play on Thursday, what time would that game be? And would we be the 5 or the 6 seed because of the deficit? We were down, 14 points at one point in the second half. And so, kudos to the team. It had been what felt like forever, about 3 weeks since UAB had last won at Bartow Arena. How crazy that is to say. In Bartow Arena wasn't, bumping like it normally was. That they announced just over 4,000. The students were on spring break, and so the student section was a little bit bare. I thought outside of that, there were certainly points in the game, specifically in the second half, in which Bartow tried to carry the momentum and really support UAB to close that game out. But yeah, AK talked about it several times, the significance of this game for UAB to get their 20th regular season victory, to get that double bye. There was a lot of implications for this ball game. And despite everything that had happened up to that point, you had 2 straight home losses. You had gambling controversies for UAB on the road at Temple, making somewhat of national headlines.
Look, bro, real quick on that. They beat that ass so bad. Oh, I'm sorry, we're free show. They beat their butt so bad. They had the game, had to investigate that game, man. And
Hey,
they were like, oh.
hey, if you're gonna lose, make some money while you're at it, right?
Hey, there you go.
No, man, it was a big game for UAB, and just kudos to the team and to the staff because, unfortunately, that looked like some other recent games at Bartow where the team got down double digits, in which we were not able to come back and win. And for them to be able to do that, to end the regular season at home on senior day with a victory was certainly much needed.
Definitely. Darian, I want to throw it to you. Like, what's just your initial hey, because we talked about it last week, Jimmy wasn't here last week because he was still upset about the Memphis game. But I mean,
I'm still upset right now.
Well, yeah, hey, hopefully get revenge in a couple of days. But Darren, we talked about it. Like, which team is going to show up for UAB? Like, are they going to want it? And what was the answer that they gave us these last two games?
Well, I mean, you saw the answer at Temple. That was like, they heard us saying like, hey, maybe we don't know. They put that to doubt. Like they first, let's give credit what credit's due. Shout out to Eric Gaines. Playing the best basketball he's played as a Blazer. His shot is consistent. He looks confident. He's making good decisions. I see versus Temple, he had 10 assists. 17 points efficient. And I think against SMU, it was 22 points and 50%. His free throw, he was 7 of 9, good on free throw percentage. He stepped up big time when we needed him down the stretch. Just consistently, he's always going to get his steals. I think we kind of what we've talked about this team. We saw it all in one game. I felt like in the first half, we played physical. SMU is a very physical team, very disciplined. We knew that. They run back in transition, and the commentators were talking about their transition defense. Like, look at them. Like, when they make miss, anything in between, those guys are sprinting back, and they're very gritty defensively. They'll turn you over, and they're out running, right? Chuck Harris is a shot maker. He'll knock shots now. And they move the ball. They probably don't have the guy on offense, but they're going to move, and they're going to work as a unit. One guy that I feel like that how can I put it? One guy that I of the up and down of this team is JD, right? I feel like JD's downs has come at the expense, like Christian Coleman's his come out party has come at the expense of JD. I think JD has had a hard time like just moving his feet sometimes on defense. And he gets fouls and it takes him out of his rhythm. His game is so physical. And I think what people are trying to do is what teams are trying to do is they're trying to exploit him. And his value is on the offensive end. He's physical. He's hard to stop one-on-one. But his game is versatile, right? Where Christian Coleman, we're finding out, hey, he can get at the top of the 1-3-1. He can turn you over. He has a mid-range shot, Christian Coleman can really run in transition, right? With JD is like, hey, I'm a bully. I'm gonna get you down on that block. I'm gonna put this spin on you, and I'm gonna and one, whatever. That's his game. But the thing about that is, if it's not versatile enough, you can game plan to stop it. And so what I believe teams are doing, I think they are targeting him to get him in foul trouble and whatnot. So I think for us to win this tourney, we got to really figure out how to use all of our parts and really get him integrated. Because we've seen JD have monster games, especially earlier in this year. But as Yak start coming out, now CC is coming out. Now Eric, I'm so glad Eric is playing this way, man. It's like I felt so confident with the ball in his hands. Like he was just taking these shots. I'm like, wow, look at Eric. But we're going to need JD. We're going to need his physicalness. We saw how he played against FAU and against other big physical guys. And we're going to need him to stay out of foul trouble and stay in rhythm. And we're going to have him involved on the team. So I hate that his senior day kind of went how it went with the foul trouble and everything. I'm pretty sure he was frustrated. But that's what you have teammates for. That's what you have CC for. Double. Yaks is Yaks. Another double. Shout out to Yaks. First team all AAC. Defensive player of the year in the AAC. Shout out to Yaks and everything he does on the offensive end. Shout out to Eric, AJ Vasquez. All those guys really played gritty after we lost ourselves when we went down 14. Those guys, that's hard to do. I started giving up hope. I was like on the way back from Dallas. I'm looking at the game, like trying to figure out, like telling the kids to chill. And for a second, I was like, man, I got to turn this off. It's affecting my emotions. Here we go again. Second half, is this what we are? And I felt it. I felt the despair. I gave up. I apologize, but I gave because we seen that happen. We just seen that happen in Memphis. I didn't want to see it happen again to my team. And I started looking. I was like, I can't watch this. Like it was affected by emotions. I had to click off. Jimmy just got back on here because he was emotional. I'm just so happy to see the fight in this team. I'm like, that's the Blazers. Let's get off the roller coaster and let's just. I don't want to ride the roller coaster anymore. If we get beat, let it be a steady game. I don't want to go up and down and up. And we look like the best team in the AAC. Then it's like, dang, we like Temple or something. So I don't want to go through that anymore. Here's to us finding consistency throughout the whole game. Please take us off the emotional roller coaster. We can't. I don't know how much I can bear it. But shout out to the guys for coming out on the positive end of the roller coaster this time.
Hey, I'm glad that you brought up Eric Gaines and Christian Coleman because I had a few thoughts on those guys as well. And my question would be for the group here, like if y'all had to pick an MVP for this game against SMU, who would you pick, Eric Gaines or Christian Coleman in this one?
Oh, because like you want to say, or I want to say like Christian Coleman, man. First double-double as a Blazer, 16 points, 10 rebounds, huge. But my God, Eric looked like the point guard in that ball game. Like, I don't know. Can you go? Can you say both? It's a trick question.
Definitely got to go with Eric because like when we needed it, when we didn't have anything going, Eric, that three he came on like the left baseline. It was just like I was like, no way, he knocked it down. I'm like, Jesus, that was a tough shot, But Eric's timeliness and he literally carried us.
Yeah.
When we didn't have anything going. So it's not about the overall stats, it's when those stats occurred. And if we didn't have both of them, we don't win the game. But Eric carried us when we didn't have anything going. So and then you trust when he had the ball. Yep. It was like, give the ball, move.
Yeah.
Move, give it to him. He's cooking. Let him cook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote in my notes here, Eric Gaines and Christian Coleman as co-MVP ? So, but if we had to do a consensus here, just what a great game for Eric Gaines. So Darren hitting this already, 22 points, matches career high, and 14 of those 22 points were scored during the final 6 minutes. So isn't that pretty wild? And as you look over the last 3 games, Eric Gaines is actually 9 of 18 from 3. So it's 50% from 3 in the past 3 games. He's 19 of 31 overall from the field, to 61%. So Darian used the term earlier, efficiency. And so Eric, in addition to his tenacity defensively with his steals and getting up and down in transition, his assist, he's also scoring at a more efficient level currently, which has been huge. And Christian Coleman, double figures in 3 straight games. So we know he had 12 versus Memphis, 19 versus Temple, 16 most recently against SMU. And during that 3-game stretch, he's 17 of 24 from the field at 71%. So he too is performing at a high level. You guys have mentioned already the double-double, 16 points, 10 boards was his first. 13 of 16 at the free throw line and 17 total rebounds over the last 2 games. So he's rebounding at a high level, and he's doing this all while playing, I would call it limited minutes, meaning he's playing in the low 20s. So it's not like he's playing 34 or 35 minutes a game. And my question here for the group is, going into the American Athletic Conference tournament, how do you keep him off the court if you're the UAB coaching staff? How do you not play him 30 minutes right now?
I saw that coming. I saw that coming from a mile away. He gonna throw that grenade out. He threw it out. It's just like, you guys, I got a question for y'all. Answer it. I'm gonna put that in John's lap. Go ahead, John.
No, but Darren, you said it perfectly earlier. JD can be so good, but terrible senior night, and he would tell you that. And we need JD to play at an elite level like he did against FAU and in some of these ball games throughout the year. But I mean, you got to ride the hot hand. I mean, Christian Coleman. I want to talk about you guys remember how I don't want to say play scared, how he was a little hesitant to get to the rim early on in the season, and you really saw him pulling up more jump shots. That man is taking it to the basket, and he'll throw it down on somebody, and we're starting to see that confidence grow the more he's played this season, but especially the last 3 games, like Jimmy has mentioned. I still think you start JD, but if he picks up a first foul in like first 3 minutes, pull him and put Christian out, because the way Christian Coleman is playing right now at an elite level, he needs to be on the court. He needs to be on the court against the Memphis. He needs to get on the court against the South Florida or FAU or whoever, UAB will play. But you got to find some time. The way he is playing lately, you got to get him on the court somehow. And Yaks, throwing it back to Yaks, man, 7 rebounds shy. I believe, Jimmy, correct me if I'm wrong. He's 7 rebounds shy from setting the school record for most rebounds in a season.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I did see that in the write-up from last. I'm not sure if it's exactly 7. I know he's getting close to that record.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, from Trey.
Didn't he have to pass Trey?
Trey Jemison had 329, so he set the record. So he is currently at 322. Yeah, so he needs to. If he just gets 7 rebounds, he'll set the school program record.
That's money.
His first season, guys. We talk about, we've talked about it before. You get Yaks in the off season, and he's going to be even better coming back next season. And I mean, my bad. We probably should have started this episode with Andy Kennedy, another 20-win season. Every year he's been at UAB, these 4 years, he's gotten UAB to 20 plus wins in a season. The man can coach ball, and we shout out AK some during the season, but to get this group to 20 plus wins in this conference, you got to give a shout out to AK, Ryan Cross, Coach Pearson, Coach Williams, Coach Johnson, all of this staff, because damn, what a job of this staff. Because at some points this season, we go back to Jonesboro. Well, shout out to Arkansas State. I mean, they made it the Sun Belt Championship. Or some other games, even recently with Rice, Wichita State, 2 terrible programs. You're kind of wondering, like, man, where's the buy-in from everybody? There's no communication on the court. But these last 2 games, especially late in the second half against SMU, the guys showed on the court that they wanted that 4 seed, that they wanted that 20th win. I mean, they could easily just rolled up and be like, all right, we're down 14. All right, we're going to be a 5 or 6 seed and, play Thursday, but they didn't. But shout out.
You're gonna give us some enemies at Wichita State calling Wichita State a terrible program.
Where are the Wichita State fans? I mean, I have not interacted with one.
They're at their games.
I was about to say that. I was like,
they
at their games. We online. They at their games, but yeah. Just to go back to the whole Christian Coleman, JD thing. It's tough. Like John was saying, it's tough, but how do you keep a guy like that? Like you said, the limited minutes. Christian Coleman played 22 minutes. He played 22 minutes. That's 16 points and 10 rebounds in 22 minutes. What happens if you play that 30 minutes? You can't help but question. But now, at the same time, I do understand games. With fights make style. I mean, styles make fights. Styles make fights. So I do understand that each game is going to be matchup dependent. That you can take advantage of for somebody's like Christian Coleman's his abilities. But the thing, I'll go back to it. The thing about it is we figured out he can do more and more and more, right? He is so versatile. And it's a part of me wish like him or Yaks had like a consistent outside shot or a consistent handle. I'm like, you can throw him at the 3 and put Yaks at the 4 and we can be super big and have JD at the 5. But, if we were going to do something like that, we'd have to experiment with that earlier in the season. Like, you can't do that this late. So, I hate that. I hate that it's kind of like this guy. It's either these 3 bigs with Will Shaver being that 4th coming in if it's too much foul trouble. And it is what it is, man. Like, you call a spade, and one guy has been playing extremely well. One guy has been for whatever reason, as other guys emerge, he's been struggling to find his way. That's just what it is, offensively and defensively. And I'm shocked by the offensively because his game is his game is really good offensively. You can say whatever you want to defensively. I think he still struggles. He's not Trey Jemison, right? He knows that. John, when you had the interview with the basketball team in the beginning of the year, he told you that, hey, I have to get my job done positionally. He said that himself. But I think what teams are doing is, especially like guys like Janelle Davis, they was hunting him and getting him to move side to side. And once they got him side to side, they was driving and it was a foul. They got him off the court. So, but with Christian Coleman, you can't do that. Matter of fact, Christian Coleman, we telling Christian Coleman, hey man, you can get out there and guard their best guy. He can keep up with him. He's long. He's not as bulky. He's not as strong. That's not his game. But Yak's got a lot of that to his game. Yak's is the hybrid. He can do it all. That's why he won Defensive Player of the freaking year, in the AAC. So that's why. And then Christian Coleman, he can run in transition. He's an athlete, bro. He's catching oops at the top of the square. And the best thing about Christian is he's finally starting to go up strong with the ball. Remember we talked about that? It was he was real loosey-goosey when he went up. And now he's flexing and stuff. I'm he's not a big guy, but he flexing what he got, right? And so the dude is emerging, man, and you have to you gotta let him fly. You gotta let him go. So unfortunately that's gonna come at the expense of JD, but I think JD will even understand that.
Yeah, and real quick, I know we're running long, but I mean with JD, it almost concerns me that it's a mental thing, because how many times have we seen just a stupid reach-in foul at the beginning of the game? Man, if I'm just put your hands up and stand there. I mean, we need you, JD. We need JD to have a good conference tournament for UAB to come out on top with the trophy and to get that dancing in the March Madness. But yeah, I agree. And we can't let the senior night, or we can't let the SMU game be, the last visual of JD, because we know he's better than that, and he knows he's better. The AK knows he's better than that. So we're going to need JD to step it up. It's starting Friday, probably against Memphis.
Yeah, speaking of Memphis, that's where I think it becomes matchup dependent, because we know Wichita State has a true center who's a big body, physical body, shot blocker. Memphis currently is without Dandridge. Has there been any news about him? Have y'all seen anything? So if Dandridge weren't to play, he's at 260. He's the kind of guy I'd want to have, JD certainly matched up against. But if Memphis is going to be going small and starting Tomlin, at center, I think South Florida, if I remember right, they've got a guy. I know he's from Chicago. He's a bigger guy, but he's more of a guy who would take the ball up in transition. He's a very versatile big. If you're going against one of those guys, you could still obviously start JD because he could try to bully them on the offensive end. But that's where a guy like Christian Coleman is going to be so valuable, because he can match them up, to that extent. But to your point, John, JD, I certainly hope that's not the last game, the last big moment we've seen from him, that he's able to bounce back quickly, because I really view JD as someone you go all the way back to the Bradley game to start the season when things slow down. And you see this, whether it's professionally in the NBA in the playoffs or in conference play, when you need a bucket and then these two teams are grinding it out and it's 63-61 with 30 seconds left and both teams are gassed, you need a bucket, get it down to JD. So he's the kind of guy I think can still have some big moments for UAB here in this conference tournament. I just wanted to point out two other things real quick. Is for me, one of the biggest stretches of the ball game against SMU was around the 7:31 mark remaining in the second half, and SMU hit a bucket. I think it was at the under 8, or excuse me, hit a free throw. I think it was at the under 8 media timeout, and UAB was down 11 with 7 minutes and 31 seconds remaining. And the next 6 offensive possessions for UAB was a butter 3. Then EG had missed a layup. On the next offensive possession, EG hit a 3. That was after Butta had missed the front end of the one-on-one. We got the offensive rebound, and EG hit a 3. Next offensive possession, EG transition, made bucket, foul, and 1. And then Butta missed a 3, but then EG came back with a 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12. We scored 3 points on 4 out of those 6 possessions. And SMU was hitting timely shots too. Like they had a guy, I don't know if it was number 11, who hit a 3 on the left-hand side. That was a pretty big shot to kind of keep some separation between UAB. But most importantly, UAB finished the game on what I believe was a 13-3 run. And a lot of that kudos goes to EG, timely shot making from beyond the arc, and one opportunity is just huge. And then one guy we haven't talked about yet, that's one to make sure we haven't talked about at length, is Vasquez, because he's truly playing his, in my opinion, best basketball of this season. So he's got 4 straight games in double figures. And over the last 4 games, Vasquez is averaging 18 points, 5 boards in 29 minutes per game. He's shooting 52% from the field, 69%, 9 of 13 from 3, and he's 77% from the free throw line over that 4-game stretch. And so as we go into this tournament, if you want to look at this in a positive light, you've got guys like Vasquez playing his best ball, Christian Coleman playing his best ball, EG playing some of his best ball, Yaks is Yaks. He's still doing his thing. Like, these pieces are coming together. If we can have those guys continue playing to their potential, have JD, able to turn the corner a little bit in a bounce back performance. We know Ortiz is capable of making shots. How nice would it be if Ortiz could have one of those 3 or 4 made 3 performances on one of these ball games in this conference tournament? That could be the swing kind of performance that we need to get out ahead of someone. So there's reason for optimism.
He was the swinging guy when we first beat Memphis. As you bring that up,
he
made
shots.
4 threes. So.
And he loves playing Memphis. Last year, I forgot, he hit some ungodly amount of threes at FedEx Forum. But there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, and there's a lot of reasons just to be transparent, to be petrified, because it's potentially Memphis, and because we have had Jekyll and Hyde moments this year. But this is my favorite time of the year, March Madness, and I cannot wait to be sweating on my recliner here at the house. And by the way, everybody, of course I was emotional about Memphis, but I was also in St. Louis, Missouri. That's why I wasn't on the podcast. So, but ain't gonna lie, I was emotional like most of you as well.
I would say this, and one thing I did learn from this SMU game is we're not a lockdown defensive team. We won't be that. Well, first of all, before I stop that, shout out to the 5 boards that AJ Vasquez has been averaging. That's important, because that's like filling in for that 3 spot. And if you watch that guy is really competitive. Like getting offensive rebounds and just sneaking in. It's not like free rebounds. These are contested ones that he gets. He's a physical guard. He jumping and he gets dirty, and you need that, especially against athletic teams. So that's that I'm really impressed with. People are like, it's just 5 rebounds. I'm like, no, this guy's a guard that gets in and he gets it, and we need all 5 of them. Second, I like the point when you had pointed out about Tomlin. If he's starting, he killed us. He killed us last game. Just straight up demolished us. I would go as far as, if that's the case, you start CC. That's just me. But I feel like CC is the perfect matchup for that. He can cover that really well. And I just don't think that's a good matchup for JD. That's just my opinion. That's why I always say styles make fights. But thirdly, I learned my last takeaway is this SMU game. We're not a lockdown defensive team. We're not going to be that. But we have to continue to compete. We didn't even have multiple stops to string that we strung together. What we did was we had a stop here, stop there. We kept on doing our thing on the offensive end and competing. We just kept competing. I think if you look back at the games, I'm trying to figure out why do we derail? We kind of just were like, we can't stop them. It is what it is, and it just go off the rails. Against SMU, we just kept fighting. We made adjustments. We kept fighting. We just kept competing. Even though they hit shots, we kept hitting shots. Then we'll get a stop here. We'll get a stop there, just because we were fighting. And so if I could say anything about this team, is like, make your adjustments and just keep fighting. They're gonna hit backbreaker threes. They're gonna get and ones, because we're not a team. We're not SMU to where I think SMU can just lock you down for a while. We don't do that. But with EG can get out, he can get in transition, he can get a steal, he can get a dunk. We got talented guys. Yeah, Yax is the AAC defensive player of the year. He's gonna get a couple blocks. Just keep fighting. And we got shot makers. I think Butter hasn't been playing his best ball as of late, but Butter is Butter. I trust him when he shoot. We got AJ Vasquez. We got guys that can make shots. So just keep on fighting, and we can beat anybody. Just compete.
Definitely. And guys, again, join us at Cahaba this Friday for the quarterfinal matchup, 2 p.m., where UAB will play the winner of the Memphis or Rice and Wichita State game from Thursday. But on the free feed, we will be back Thursday evening to give you a quick 10 to 15 minute preview of the quarterfinal matchup. And if UAB wins on Friday, fingers crossed, we're going to come back Friday evening to get you ready for the semifinal matchup and championship matchup. So this is something we've done the last couple of years on the Blazer Victory podcast. And you guys always seem to like it. And now that we're doing YouTube, it might take a little longer for the video to upload. But hey, we know we've got a strong group of hardcore Blazer Victory podcast listeners and viewers, and we appreciate every single one of you.
Did they like the spaces? You remember we did the spaces?
I forgot the spaces during the NIT.
Did they spaces, man.
Hey,
What's
real quick though. If UAB doesn't win, there's probably not going to be an NIT invite. So if they lose, and Andy Kennedy said post game after the SMU game, he ain't going to do one of those pay for play tournament, one of those stupid CBIs or CI. Well, they're not stupid, but you got, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're not going to compete in one of those. It's either NCAA, NIT, or just recruit for the next year. So, hey, 3 games, 3 days. This team can do it. This team is on a 2-game winning streak. They're playing some really good ball. Just got to put it together for 40 minutes times 3. And
please, 40 minutes, not 27.
No,
guys.
Hey,
40 minutes, please.
Hey, while we'll be having a good time at Cahaba, for those of you that are traveling, take some photos at the conference tournament and tag the Blazer Victory account on X.
Please.
Like, show us y'all having a good time. Take some photos, take some videos. We'd love to see you guys screaming, yelling, cheering on the Blazers.
Yes, John, Matthew, we know y'all are going to Fort Worth, so go ahead and send the pictures and tag us in it. Thomas said he won't be able to go to the watch party on Friday. Look, do I need to write an excuse for his employer? Look, we need everybody in Cahaba, if you ain't going to Fort Worth, in Cahaba Brewing Company. It starts this Friday at 2:00. But of course, we know it's 2:00, so we definitely understand. You got to feed your family. Hey, we understand that.
Thomas, but I expect Thomas, man. Richard McCollum, like I know
Richard gonna be there. He's telling me.
I know Richard go. Okay, there we go. Yeah, don't break my heart all the way, guys.
Yeah. So hey, join us. Shout out again to Cahaba. Join us starting this Friday for the AAC tournament at 2:00. Patreons Thursday. We will answer the wonderful questions that you have asked. We didn't even have to send out reminders this time, guys. We sent out the initial, and we had already over 20 questions. So we didn't even have to send out a reminder. So thank you, Patreon supporters. You'll expect that episode in your feed, hopefully Thursday around lunchtime. And then we'll be back on the free feed Thursday evening to get you guys ready for the quarterfinal matchup. But again, subscribe to our YouTube so that way you don't miss any future episodes. And hopefully there will be a bunch this week.
John, you got to learn where to subscribe is at in the like. That's what they do on YouTube. They be like here, guys, and subscribe.
Like here, subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got to learn. like here, guys. I don't know where it's at.
Ski. So. Hey, how come we haven't been hearing that song? Since we did that episode, Bato, they hadn't been playing it. I'm like, man, did we mess it up for somebody?
They hating on this. Oh, my God.
I'll get on the PA. Ski.
DJ John. What would be your DJ name?
Probably DJ Thunderfoot. That was my nickname. And when I grew up playing soccer, they called me Thunderfoot because I could could kick it from one end of the field and get into the other goal. So DJ Thunder.
Thunderfoot is.
That's one of our Patreon questions about special teams. So,
Hey, I still got 4 years, man. Hey, Trent, call me.
Jimmy, you ain't got a nickname. What's Jimmy's nickname?
and you call me DJ Slim Jim.
Slim Jim. It's Jay. I got you. Okay.
Now, Darian, I know you DJ. What's your DJ name?
Y'all know everybody call me Pee Wee, but I don't know if I'll go by Pee Wee. I don't know, man. I have to think. I think hard on that. And I had to come back after we win and give y'all a good DJ name. I just wouldn't sit right. DJ Pee Wee. I don't think that is me.
Pee Wee's Playhouse. All right, hey Jimmy, go ahead and send us out before we.
Hey, let's win this conference tournament, y'all. Go Blazers.